But you might look at the title of the video and just think, hold on, I might have to give up on that so-called love or whatever it is that you're trying to detach from. But detachment is not giving up. It's wanting something without letting it take control, over your self-worth, over your emotions, over your decisions. For example, that girl, you have to detach from her. Those goals, you have to detach from them, because the moment that you become attached to them, they become your identity. Because think about it, the moment that a girl stops talking to you, the moment that a girl leaves you alone or ghosts you, there's a reason it hurts, because you were attached. And the only way to move forward in life is to master the art of detachment. Don't stay stuck on the same situations. Don't become attached to the same situations. That's a word that I'm going to keep repeating and repeating. You can't be attached. Detaching is not acting like you don't care. You can care. I'm telling you, I care all the time. But I know my self-worth. It's not like I don't miss the female. It's not like I don't want the money. It's not like I don't want that, but I'm not going to become attached to it. Because the moment that I become attached to it, the moment that I make it who I am, they got me. Because once they could take that away from me, they could take away who I am. You have to prove something that you don't need it as bad to the point that you lose yourself. Yes, you could be obsessed. I'm talking now in terms of your goals. Yes, you could be obsessed with your goals and things of that nature, but to an extent, it shouldn't be who you are. Look at athletes when they play and they retire. They lose themselves after. I'm gonna give you examples like Tom Brady. He lost his family because he wanted to go back to his sport. His sport was his identity. Football was his identity. Without football, he didn't really know who he was. So you don't want that to happen to you. You don't have money, you don't know who you are. You can't live your life that way. Okay, that girl leaves you, you don't know who you are. You can't have that in your life. When you obsess from something, you move from a point of view from fear. Think about that girl. When you're obsessed over her, when you're obsessed over that girl, most of your actions, they're moving from fear. You're not thinking not logically at all. You don't think logically. You're moving from a standpoint of, hold on, she might be doing this because of the fear of losing her. You're so attached to that person that the fear of losing them is eating you alive. Again, this is what I'm saying. Detachment is the only way. You have to detach yourself from it. You have to detach yourself from those people, from those. If it's your family, detach yourself. If it's your situation, detach yourself from it, because that's not who you are. Don't let your attachment to certain things, to certain people, become your self-identity. In a relationship, detachment simply means you can love someone without begging them to choose you, texting too much, stalking their page, waiting for replies, or accepting less than you deserve. If someone treats you right when you pull away, that is not love. If just because you left them alone, now they want to be all over you, that's not love. They're probably bored. I want you to think about that. The moment that you pull away is the moment that she starts talking to you. The moment that you start acting nonchalant, that's the moment she starts talking to you. That's not love, bro. I want you to understand that. Even for the females, that is not love. The moment that you need someone too badly, you start tolerating things that even the healed version of yourself would not have tolerated. Again, this is why I keep on repeating, you have to detach from certain people. Stay away from certain people. Stay away from certain situations. Detach yourself from obsessions with people, obsessions with different things in your life. Because once you become so obsessed or too attached to the thing, and it starts damaging you, you don't even realize it, because you love it so much to the point where it's like you're willing to lose yourself for it. And that's how you end up, heartbroken. Once that thing is taken away from you, your life just starts to go downhill. Man, it just becomes a whole disaster. And this is also why, mastering the art of just walking away goes perfectly in line with detachment. Because the moment that you're able to walk away from something, you become a very powerful version of yourself. You you gain the edge, I should say, and whatever it is that you may be doing. You might want a deal so badly to the point where it's like you compromise to fit just so you could get that deal accepted. But if you were in your right mind, if you simply just walked away from it because it wasn't really the best for you, you would have, you would have found a much better deal. But because of the fact that in your head you're like, I have to make this work, I have to do this, I have to do that, you will compromise, detach from the outcome. When it comes to your goals, you could be so worried about the outcome that you forget. You start hating the work. You're just so obsessed with the outcome. You have to detach from the outcome. Stay attached to the standards that the outcome will provide. Stay attached to those. Let's say, for example, you're trying to be an NFL athlete. You have to have the standards of an NFL athlete, but not be attached to the goal of becoming an NFL athlete. Because the moment that you don't get that, you lose yourself. Because look at all these high school players that don't make it, that don't make it D1, or look at all these D1 players that don't make it to the league. Like, sometimes I look at myself, I'm like, bro, what would they do? I think to myself, I ask myself, like, okay, after all this, like, what are you going to do with your life? Not that I'm judging or anything, but that identity shift is crazy because you were so attached to this goal in your head that's like, I have to get this no matter what. So now that you haven't gotten it, what else is left? Who are you? You don't even know who you are because of the fact that you were chasing this thing for so long. You don't even know who you are. You lost yourself. I mean, I look at people in relationships. They've lost themselves because they've been so attached to this ex. They've been so attached to this person that they were willing to compromise who they were. You look at them before, you look at them after the relationship. It's like, who are you now? And again, a lot of people might misconstrue detachment with, being cold or, cold mentality. It's not that. It's simply just doing what's best for yourself. You can care deeply without becoming desperate. You can love somebody, but without sacrificing your standards just because of that person. There have been times where I go through this on a day-to-day basis. Not a day-to-day basis, but whenever I try to get involved with somebody, it's like I get attached to the point where it's like, okay, I'm willing to do anything to make this work, but I do it at the detriment of, my standards. Like, it's some things that before I would never have gone for, but because of my so-called love, because I say I love this person, I will just try to accommodate what it is that they come with. And truth be told, you could definitely work through that. You could definitely help them on that journey, but you have to understand, like, if they start, doing bad, if by helping them you are losing yourself in the process, you have to cut them off. You have to just simply detach, because again, that's the title of this video. Detachment is the key. Detachment is the way. You have to master the art of detaching from people, from situations, from goals, whatever it is. And I also want you to understand that you usually get what you want when you stop acting like you need it to survive. Stop acting like you need that girl. You don't. Stop acting like you need that money. Like, you really don't, because at the end of the day, you have to understand that God will always make a way, and yes, money is important, but people try and live and die by it. I'm a victim of that. Sometimes I try to live and die by money. And the moment I started to realize that it started to affect my mood, the money in my bank account, if it wasn't at a certain amount, my mood would just be all the way down. Like, no, the only thing that I want to be able to affect my mood is my relationship with God. When I don't feel closest, my mood should be down. That's an alert for me to get back right. But I don't want, okay, a girl hasn't texted me, my mood is down. Oh, this money hasn't come in yet, my mood is down. And again, that could be a very, strong adjustment to make. It could be very hard at times, but you have to understand, materialistic things only mean so much. Your mental health is better than money. Having a strong mental health is better than money. You look at people that have all the money in the world, you look at their and look at them with their mental health. It's a disaster. Money amplifies whatever it is that you are doing, good or bad. If you are doing bad without money, when you get money, the bad will only amplify. That's what I want you to understand. Just try and detach from situations. You are not going to be perfect. You are not going to be that, okay, Sheila, you're not going to be that nonchalant guy or that nonchalant female. Sometimes everybody wants to be that, but you're not always going to be that. But you have to understand that there's so much power in detaching instead of attaching.